All right. Peace, everyone. Peace. Welcome to the show Improve. You know what I'm talking about. Skin eyes back. I'm back. You know what I'm talking about. I am back. Um, back again. you know, apologies for all of that. Just going through it. But it's good to be back. You know what I'm talking about. And we back at it again. Back on another adventure. Going along for the ride. You know what I'm talking about. And I'll just say, give thanks for Chief for covering for me. I really appreciate it. But I really like the segments anyway. You know what I'm talking about? Because, he covers so much, man. And being, being on my life adventures, him talking about those things, it was like, oh, man, I remember, talking to this person about that, talking to that person about that. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it came to like Thanksgiving and talking about Massasoit and King Philip, man, and and things like that. It was so fun for me. Even when it sort of got me out of being sorrowful and took my mind off things and made me smile and celebratory in a sense because I was talking about things that I knew or hearing things that I knew about. And I could dialogue and comment, and I know Chief, be like, I'm the history guy. That he really is lame, but it's like, man, we all have our own deliveries, but it's like Godfather 3. Like I always say, all ships must sail in the same direction. And that's what we doing. You know what I'm talking about? I still know what you was talking about, even though, that may not be your lane. You may be on the economics or the technological game, but you know what I'm talking about? We still all the same, we still going the same way, you know what I'm talking about? So, for sure, man, but yeah, man, I would say, man, with all them dang on segments, I would say, man, if you live here in the States, man, just look at the names of some of these states and they'll tell you who were there, you know what I'm saying, or things like that, you know what I'm saying. Like for instance, like the Miami, for me, the Miami weren't in Miami. If that was another tribe that was called Miami, and they were actually in the region of Midwestern regions of Illinois and whatnot, but that goes with all that happened after Thanksgiving, man. Oh my goodness. But yeah, man, but it, like I say, give thanks to everybody. Give thanks to everybody, and I knew for their support. You know what I'm talking about? I really greatly appreciate it. You know what I'm talking about? Because some people offer, say they offer support, and they fake with it. They don't really mean it. But I really appreciate the community of the collective. For really offering that and showing that, you know what I'm talking about. It meant a lot to me, you know what I'm talking about. And like Chief, was talking about in this recent podcast about being celebratory, and it's like, yeah, man, I can celebrate that. That I'm among collective that actually supports, you know what I'm talking about, or things like that. Like Chief say, we on your team. And that means a lot to some people, to have somebody in your squad or on your side. You know what I'm talking about? So I greatly give thanks to everybody, man. You know what I'm talking about? Give thanks for sure. I greatly appreciate it. But like I say, man, we getting back into it. So peace, everybody. Peace. Emma Yakira, Master Elect, and Aki Darian, and Alien. So yeah, man. All right. So here we are again. We on part 3. So let's get into it. see, he's like, yeah, and we're back. And we still talking about this. Yes, we are. You know what I'm saying? Um, one second. Let me. Oh, don't have to. They're right here. Even if it emboldened, it doesn't look emboldened on screen. So luckily I got my glasses just in case. You know what I'm talking about? If it's too thin for me to see. So yeah, man. Um, all right. So let's just get into it now. You know what I'm saying? If a man, now this is 128, if a man take a wife and do not arrange with her the proper contracts, that woman is not a legal wife. That, in this segment, we are talking because let me tell you, there are a lot of edicts or laws just pertaining to marriage and family in the Code of Hammurabi. If you do not know, if you've not really read it, there are a bunch. You know what I'm talking about? There is so many, man. It's amazing. But yes, so we just dealing with this one because apparently, well, it's not apparently, but this is some people's problem. You know, a man did not make the proper contracts, and you ain't his legal wife, and thus you have so much going on in your life. So, like I say, some of these laws were created, you know, to solve a problem. And some of these laws could probably still answer problems that we go through today in the present. So if a man, I'm gonna say it one more again, because somebody look, we're gonna take this church because somebody need to hear this. If a man take a wife and do not arrange with her the proper contracts, that woman is not a legal wife. All right. Now, in our new way, we have, you know, matrimony is the third step in a sacred union after courtship and betrothal before consummation. The actual union, there is a marital contract that must be present to the woman joining the household of the man. This contract should have been presented and discussed during phase 3 of the courtship. The man and woman are both to sign the marital contract in the presence of a witness. Only one witness is necessary to confirm the marital contract. Bars. Say it, you know. Yeah, that's right. Bars. Because somebody needs to know this, you know what I'm talking about? Because people don't know this, you know what I'm talking about? You know why we have certain contracts, you know, because, you know, then legally you're not married to them. You know, some of y'all get contracts, you know, think y'all I married that. And that ain't. No, you ain't. You are like Squeak Hopper. Who this woman? You know, for real, man. Like, I'm just letting you know. You know, you know. So yeah, man. You know, but it goes on further to say, as we have said previously, sexual intercourse is a pact for marriage. This is why it's very key for a woman to keep her virginity intact. If she weds at a young age and divorces morally or is widowed, then she is not dishonored. If a female creates many marital contracts with many people, one or more, recklessly, she has dishonored herself and should seek deliverance. It just dawned on me. Shakespeare, right? Hamlet. Get thee to another. It just popped in my head. Don't ask me why. You know, he tells Ophelia, you know, come on, girl, get thee to another. She all, you know, team Hamlet and whatnot. She want Hamlet to be bay and whatnot. And Hamlet going through his own things. And he like, girl, get thee to a nunnery. You know. So yes. You know what I'm talking about. So if the wife of a man be taken in line with another man, they should bind them and throw them into the water. If the husband of the woman would save his wife, or if um, if the king save his male servant, he may, so if in this in this context, what I'm talking about, you have a issue, and then you have a consequence. Now it says that if you want to save the woman, you want to save your wife, you can. Or if you want to say male servant. Now it doesn't mean like the actual male servant of the king. Well, basically, I thought of as being the male servant in the sense of, by you being the king, then you are his servant or his subject, because he, you are a part of his nation, in a sense. So to bring proper context, if you want to save that male servant or that male subject of your nation, then, saying you may, what I'm saying? So yeah. Okay. Now we bringing it into congruence. Now you have in Exodus 20:14, thou shalt not what? Commit adultery. You know what I'm saying? It's there too. You know what I'm talking about, which we're getting into. You know what I'm saying? But peace him and I. You know what I'm talking about. So we're going to go with the first video. Yeah,
and these issues have to be resolved as a part of the black male-female relations.
I got to put
so
that
then the delay in marriage and remarriage rates and so forth,
yeah,
very much related.
It be like that.
The psychology of the relationship between black males and females then has to be looked at within context. We have to look at the reality of the kind of education both black males and black females deal with. We operate on assumptions about what is right behavior and wrong behavior in our relationship one to the other, what one should or should not do. And we really, as people, given the fact that we live in a very different social situation, have not really stopped to examine whether we should accept a lot of these moral rules and approaches that we do. They've not been brought up for examination. We are operating often on ways of expressing love. If you love me, you'll do this. If you love me, you'll make this. What do you mean by that? Are you in a position, given your political, economic situation in the world, that you can express your love through this symbolic means that you have gotten from another group with a different history and in a different economic situation? Or are you going to say, that's what a man's supposed to do? A man, regardless of the reality of his economic, social, or political situation? Or men, that's what a woman is supposed to do? What kind of woman? Under what kind of circumstances? Are we then operating on a set of rules, expectations, and perceptions that in no way reflect the realities that we're in as people, and therefore imposing these artificial expectations on each other and fighting and hurting each other and destroying our children and ultimately destroying our people as a result thereof? We got to ask that. And when you ask that and answer that, it's got to enter into the education of your children. It's got to enter into the redefinition of the relationship between black males and black females. We are cursing each other out over somebody else's rules and mores and attitudes and so forth. Often you see a culture lays these expectations down on us without qualification. And they said, well, if you're in this position, maybe you need to modify this in this sort of way. No, this is what a man is supposed to be. This is what a woman is supposed to do, no matter what happens. And when they don't meet up to it, you got a right to call names, to walk out, to destroy children, and do all the other kind of things we do to each other. You see? In other words, in society represents itself in people. And this society represents itself in us.
All right. So there you have it, you know what I'm talking about. Let's get back to it. So, now, In 130, we have, if a man force the betrothed wife of another who has not known the male and is living in her father's house, and he lie in her bosom, and they shall take him, they shall that man shall be put to death, and that woman should go free. So, if you force yourself on a woman that ain't your betrothed or your wife, that's what's gonna happen to you. you know, you know. But she gets to go free. Um, which shows a little bit of balance, man. You know what I'm talking about. In that sense. So yeah. Okay. Now, if a man accuse his wife and she not been taken in line with another man, she shall take an oath in the name of God, and she shall return to her house. Which sort of, I would say, gets rid of accusations. You know what I'm saying? Because at least now there's accusations all around. You know what I'm saying? But here you have a law that sort of helps with that accusation. You know. And then here you have, like in Hebrews 13:4, marriage should be honored by all, and the marriage bed be kept pure, for God would judge the adulterer and all the sexually immoral. You know what I'm saying? So this is just congruent to the cultural region. It's all like, it's basically, like I say, man, it's basically trying to show that even though these are different cultures, they all have the same um, cultural mindset when it comes to laws. Which shows that sort of they are the same people, like you said. We are the Acadians and things like that. All got the same mindset. They all got the same issue in some aspect. So what does it show? We had to keep these laws because this stuff was happening. Somebody had to say something. Because it decreased the unity of the community or the culture. You know what I'm saying? Where in the West you have a liberal culture which says you can do pretty much anything you want, and community won't suffer. But in certain aspects that shows difference. That doesn't really happen. But yeah, man. So in 33, if a man be captured and there be maidens in his house, and his wife go out of her house, she shall protect her body, and she shall not enter into another house. And then the A is, if that woman do not protect her body and enter into another house, they should call that woman to account, and they should throw her into the water. You know what I'm saying? So, this can be construed. Well, you can use this in certain aspects. If a man be captured, and there, house maintenance. We've all, gutters need to be clean. You may need to, fix the thermostat. you know, um, do a little bit of plumbing. Maintenance. But while that person's captured, what the woman, the wife remains uncovered. But like they say, she has to protect her body. And don't enter into another house. Now, for me, entering into another house or another family, it's just not, can mean multiple things. It can mean actually going into another person's house, or copulating with another man. Even with Egyptians, they talk about going into another house in that same context. You know, um, pulling watch. Yes, Emmy Akira. I mean, what I like about these laws is, like I say, it solves the problem, but it doesn't give much wiggle room, so you can live fully and righteous. You know what I'm talking about? Because there are what um consequences. The issue is raised. And the law is there to be, really there to basically be clear cut, so there is no black and white with it. You know what I'm saying? And it also what brings forth accountability, in a sense, brings forth accountability and consequences. That's what I want to get to. But yeah, it, like I say, these laws are there to what solve a problem, or an issue that somebody probably observed and created this law so it wouldn't happen. It's like what Chief talks about, paintings on the wall. And he says, because our ancestors knew that one day we would, and they're pornographic in nature, or you could say it in that sense. And Chief was like, well, there will come a time, because our ancestors were so forward thinking. They was like, come a time when you would not know how to really have sex. You know what I'm saying? And that's, you know, and sort of the same thing with these laws, man. You'll forget what it is to live righteously. You forget what it is to um you'll do things that you're not supposed to do, and you'll forget that that's immoral. Your more immorality and morality will probably totally forgotten about. And you sort of see that, and today, everybody's living their own truth. What's that, or whatever, and you can do anything morality and morality is, will be forgotten in that sense, what I'm talking about. But yeah, let me put what it messed up. He put in Numbers 5:18. And the priest shall set the woman before the Lord and uncover the woman's head and put the offering of memorial into her hands, which is the jealousy offering. And the priest shall have in his hand the bit of water that causes the curse. Okay. And the priest shall charge by her oath and say unto the woman, if no man have lain with thee, and if thou hast not gone aside to uncleanness with another instead of thy husband, be thou free from this bit of water that causes the curse. See? So, bam. Like I said, there are practices, you can say, where we can sort of bring the issue to the forefront, solve it, and then basically dead end the issue. I would say it like that. Basically dead end the dang on issue. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, man. But in 134 we have, if a man be captured and there be no maintenance in his house, and his wife enter into another house, that woman has no blame. You know. You know. So yeah, there's that one. And then here's 35. You know, if a man be captured and there be no maintenance in his house, and his wife openly enter into another house and bear children, if later her husband returns and arrive in his city, that woman shall return to her husband, and the children shall go with their father. You know. So when I saw this one, sometimes, you hear Chief say, well, where's the father? Because sometimes, in today's society, divorce and things like that. And, you hear Chief say, if you have children and you're trying to marry in, well, then, the children should go with their father. Well, you have a law that sort of, and that's it tells you, where that child should go. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, man. Um, I thought this one was a very interesting law because it was like, oh, that, yeah, you know, that's how I saw it. You know what I'm talking about? So now in 136, you have if a man deserts his city and flee, and afterward his wife enter into another house. If that man return and would take his wife, the wife of the fugitive shall not be returned to her husband because he hated his city and he fled. So basically, if you desert it and you like, I'm here to reclaim my property, you ain't getting it back. She she stays where she's at because you've already shown that you've hated the city or the community and you fled, you left, you deserted. Therefore, you know, she no longer belongs to you. You forgo all all rights in that sense. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, um, yeah, man. So, but here you have in Leviticus 20:10, if a man commits uh, adultery with another man's wife, with the wife of his neighbor, both the adulterer and the adulteress are to be put to death. You get shunned. Exactly, Sister Yafe. Or Choti Yafe. But yeah. See how in Hebrew law and statutes, um, same thing applies. You know what I'm saying? So all we doing is collecting the dots to connect the dots. You know what I'm saying? No, along the lines. You know. Now you have heard that it was said you should not commit adultery. Now this is Matthew 5, 27, 28. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. How many times have we heard that one? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. And then you have in Deuteronomy 22, 22, if a man is found lying with the wife of another man, both of them shall die. The man who lay with the woman and the woman. So you shall purge the evil from Israel. So as you can see, this was seen as you could say a patriot. You could make the claim that this was a patriotic duty if you want to purge the evil or the wickedness from, the nation of Israel. In this context, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah. Now, okay, here's another one. I gotta make sure I get the right one. That one. Shh.
Faccio
Should
sputo
be this
invece
one.
di olialla.
Olio non ce n'è, Don Mimì. L'altro giorno ci ha messo quella di cucina. È successo in cinematografo.
Tu vieni, te lo do io. Voglio le macchine usate, c'ho le scimonite, oppure grasso, che è meglio. Un grasso sai che fa? Tiene la catena scivolosa.
Okay, for those that don't know, this is from the movie, well, the Italian movie Milena, right? So I wanted to show an example because when I was reading this is what I thought of. I thought of this movie. Sometimes it always comes back to movies, but yeah.
Troppo festoso, volgare.
Mio figlio dice che pare finta.
Mio marito non la toccherebbe manco con un dito.
A conte fatte mi pare più simpatica la mantenuta del barone Bontà. Almeno quella fa tutta la luce del sole.
Altro che sole, lui ogni settimana viene, se la forza e se ne torna a Palermo. E lei gli altri giorni al cinema Lettorio si arrangia che piccerette.
Fotte fotte, Dio perdona a tutte.
Okay, so for those that didn't see the movie, right? This movie is set in World War II in Italy, fascist Italy. With Benito Mussolini, running the show. You know what I'm talking about, and it's about this boy, you know, who's basically having his growth spurt. There you go, having this growth spurt, right? And he sees this woman, Milena, who is who's a married woman, right? But her husband went off, to fight in the war, so he left her alone. You know what I'm saying? With her father, of course, but she still had her own house. But her father's still there in the village, who's actually the boy's teacher, right? So, and make a long story short, the guy, the boy, he's going through his growth spurt. We've all had this issue, like lusting after older women. Okay. And this boy does it, and you know what happens after that if you're a guy, and but it becomes an obsession for him in the sense, it becomes real bad, in the sense with his lusting and whatnot. And then, as you can see, especially with this movie, which I liked, you see how this woman does nothing, pretty much, but she's viewed a certain way because of her beauty and whatnot, like in this scene, you just see Milena, she ain't really doing in a sense, she's not really doing anything. She's walking eyes forward or her head, eyes are downward, what I'm saying, but everybody is stopping traffic, looking at her like, you know. But it becomes a problem, especially when they find out, or at least it's been said that her husband's died. That's one thing. And then it's during the war, so air raid happens in the village, and then her father dies. But there's all these rumors about Milena and her being meeting these sort of meeting certain men or certain married men that's helping her out, just helping her out. But um they it may seem harmless, but not to the community. And so she's brought to trial for which she, is found not guilty. But because of all the things she's happened to and she has to provide for herself, she ends up, basically it shows how she cuts her hair. She dyes it red. When she dyes it red, for me, because I watched those movies, made me think of Rita Hayworth, Magda, which is black and white, but still, Rita Hayworth was always this fiery redhead. You know what I'm talking about? That's what reminds. So she plays the game. You know what I'm saying? And she gets with fascist officers and Nazi officers. She becomes, she becomes one of them girls. Not to say business, but she's like, well, I got beauty, so I might as well. Everybody think this is about me anyway, so I'm gonna play that role, and she does. But as we historically know, allies, take over Italy, and you know, the women in the town, when the Germans and whatnot, and the Americans take over, pretty much. The women in the town look at her, and they have an issue with her because what she was sleeping with the enemy. She was sleeping with the enemy, and so because of that, they give her a violation. You know what I'm saying? They really put in that work with her, right? And they cut off her hair and everything. They beat the mess out of her. And so she leaves. She leaves the town. She leaves the village. You know what I'm saying? But what happens is that her husband comes back. They thought he was dead, but he comes back and he's looking for his wife and whatnot. And then all the guys are telling him, what his wife then did and things like that. And the boy he writes a letter to her husband saying, she may have done all of this, but she really loves you or something like that. And tells her what train she took and what direction. It's in Messina, which is in Sicily, but he goes and looks for his wife. He finds her, right? And they return to the village. You know what I'm saying? So, and then what? It explains the next scene. That way I don't have to do it, right? So this is when they return to the village, right? The boy, he gets his first girlfriend, I'm talking about. He sort of grows up, rice passes, whatever. Everything looks all right. Okay, so That's that scene, right? I just want to show that scene, right? Because you saw how they got shunned or whatever. But when they return, you know what I'm talking about. Melena goes to basically the market, right? And the women that gave her that beat down, then they became more nicer to her, right? They were giving her stuff and giving her jackets, like, hey, miss, it's good to see you. They really, working with her. The women, they was the ones that they gave her that work, but then they respected her for coming back and whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to show an example of the same thing. Look, look, wife went into another house, but he got her back. You know what I'm saying? Brought her back home. You know what I'm saying? And really, this movie showed what was called horizontal collaboration, where you had women that would sleep with Aryans and things, and that's what they called it. You know what I'm saying? Especially in France. This was at least one issue in France. You know what I'm talking about? And what they would do is, they would have, children with these Nazis and things like that. But when, the war was won on the Eastern Theater, you know what I'm saying? These women were shunned, and a lot of things happened, which was called the Ugly Carnival or the Ugly Circus. Depending on the the language, what I'm talking about, language use, if it's but and so as you can see, they would put swastikas on the head, make them look like Hitler and things like that, and cut off their hair. So that actually, I'm just showing you that it's real. It actually happened. I knew it happened. In France and in the Netherlands, but it's something that really wasn't like talked about. You know what I'm saying? That's what they call these things when they were mess with these women and cut off their hair and portray and parade them through the streets and things like that. You know what I'm saying? In the East, it's totally different. In the East, it's totally different. You know where it's more sympathetic, what I'm saying, because there was really force, you forced brothels and things like that. So it's totally different on the Japan side of the on the Eastern side of the game, the Eastern theater, what I'm saying, and whatnot. And so, which we're going to talk about, because I wanted to show, that this also is similar thing that happened in Vietnam. You know what I'm saying? And this is where this act comes from. The Amerasian Act of 1982, and the Amerasian Homecoming Act of 1987, right? So, we all know Vietnam, the guys in Vietnam, they were, copulating with, Vietnamese women. And lo and behold, children were created, but they left, right? They left, and so the Americans left, and so in the 80s. Now, I had to look all this stuff up because I wasn't born, but in the 80s, Congress enacted the Amerasian Act, on October 22nd, 1982, that allows a person born in Korea, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, or Cambodia, or Thailand, after December 31st, 1950, and before October 22nd, 1982, and fathered by a U.S. citizen to seek admission to the United States and adjustments of status to lawful permanent resident. See that, LPR? So I think because they have Korean, I think that sort of covers the Korean War. That's another issue. You know what I'm saying? But then you have the Amerasian Homecoming Act of 1987, which says, Congress later passed the Amerasian Homecoming Act, in 1987, and disallows mothers and other immediate family members of certain Vietnamese Amerasians to relocate to the United States with their Amerasian children. Only a person born in Vietnam is eligible as a principal applicant uh, under the Amerasian Homecoming Act. Um, Persons fathered by a U.S. citizen could be granted admission to the United States, provided they were born in Vietnam after January 1st, 1962, and January 1st, 1976. If they reside in Vietnam on after. So, yeah, that pretty much covers, um, the Vietnam War. And so that shows that congruence. Well, it shows basically an example, at least a Western one, on some type of law archetype in a sense. It's not the standard by no means, but here you have, children that were fathered by U.S. troops or U.S. citizens, and what happens? Their children are allowed to go where? To the country of their father. Same thing in a sense. You know what I'm talking about? So here's another one. Where is the? Did I? Oh, give me 1 second. Let me remove some of these. Have to remove. Gotta make room. So let's get it. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Looking for it. Where is it? I had it. 1 second. Okay, 1 second. Here's the first video I wanted to play. I thought I couldn't find it, but here it is. So now this, what I liked about this one was the fact that it was colorized. That's probably the only reason why I used it. I was like, oh, this is colorized. You know what I'm saying? But as you can see, these are French people doing what the ugly carnival. This is what it, really consisted of. And they took videos of this. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. So I wasn't gonna show a bunch of this one for a long time. So here's the other one, and this is during Vietnam, you know, and it sort of shows an example in a sense. You know what I'm talking about? So here's
I'm a very
Vietnam vet.
religious
Basically
person.
on life support.
Before I ever went back
You know, about to
to Vietnam,
on his way out. You know what I'm
I
saying?
prayed that God would send me an angel, and He certainly did. And God certainly did send me an angel, straight from heaven. After 2 years, I re-enlisted to go on Vietnam because I knew what the pay was. The pay was very good. So I went back to Vietnam.
Coi như ngày nào cũng lỡ xa là đó rửa, chứ tôi không đi tìm ông. Cái chiếc xe nó dù có sạch nhưng mà cũng đem tới đó để rửa. Cái hồi nó thấy Mỹ sợ lắm, nó thiệt tình. Mà Mỹ nhiều lắm, Mỹ lấy xe nhiều lắm. Hồi đầu tiên là họ tay nhộng, ông nói tay nhộng rồi mình nói tay người nhộng. Rồi đi lấy xe tới cái là ông kêu chút lên. Đó. Phần ông cái vô nước, phần tôi cái vô nước. Tôi vào dẫn rửa xối xe. Xối ướt lên, ướt người. Ông la, ông chùi cái ông ôm, cái ông xin lỗi, cái ông ok. Cái tôi ok là bác đó, ông mới theo mấy cái thông. Nghĩ mình có chồng có con, mình dẫn đi thôi, chứ mình đâu có nghĩ đến nào có con. Có con với ổng.
The government wouldn't let me bring her home anyways. That's the way the government works.
Ổng về, ông sổ ra cái ổng biết, ổng thấy liền, ổng nói con Mỹ, thời gian Mỹ rút là họ coi tôi là coi gia đình tôi này.
So as you can see, it's one such
mà họ cũng khanh khi lắm chứ, họ cũng nói. Nhưng mà mình đâu có rất bỏ được, mình mon nạn được, mình đã đau được là thà mình chịu khinh chứ mình không bỏ con mình.
Đời sống của mình cứ nói là tại sao là không có tình thương cha. Hồi nhỏ đi học á thì người ta họ cũng nói họ nói là thứ con lai 12 lỗ đít. Nói không phải ấy chứ lúc mình đi làm giải mình kiểu như khổ lắm, nghèo khổ lắm, mình nói mình tự tử mình chết á. Tại vì đi 2-3 chặng luôn mà không được, về chán lắm. Cái cuộc sống của mình cứ mình nói là sẽ tự tử chết.
I get this message just out of the blue, just saying, hey, I'm a DNA detective and I'm trying to help a family locate their father from Vietnam. I just started crying. It's like I knew what this was about. I knew.
I just couldn't wait to see her.
It's been completely amazing. It's the best thing that I think that could happen to my uncle and to my family. He was asking how to pronounce her name. She typed back. She said, my dad can call me anything. And so I told him that. And he said, she's my angel. She's Angel.
Angel is my only one and only daughter. And I'm very proud of it.
Bác sĩ cho biết là ông không còn bao nhiêu lâu hết. Thấy ông tội lắm chứ. Thấy mình không còn với ba mình gần gũi, với lại không có cái hoàn cảnh như vậy, không không có gần gũi với ông, không biết là mai mốt như thế nào. Dạ.
She was everything that I thought she was. My daughter, she was my one and only daughter. I loved her, one and only daughter forever until I died. I loved her.
Okay. Now, actually, because no one talks about that side of it now. You know what I'm talking about? The children that were left behind. There actually was a book, at least one book that I know of that was a memoir of a guy who was Amerasian or American Vietnamese, and it's called The Unwanted. Because they called them Bordeaux, The Unwanted. And how those children were treated. Once the Viet Cong, basically took over all of Vietnam. So yeah, man. Okay. Now, here we have again in the Anu way, what I'm saying, sexual practices. Sex is marriage. Promiscuity is not encouraged for men or women in Anu. It is through sex. Women are infilled with the spirit of the Creator. How can greatness be produced if not by the waters of women and the Son of Man? So see that sex is back. Some of us try to say, dehumanize it and make it not about anything else. You know what I'm saying? Something else other than it being marriage, So yeah, so if you ask a person their body count, basically you're asking, okay, how many people are you married to? Why should they marry? I need to know how many people. So yeah. So okay. He who commits adultery lacks sense. He who does it destroys himself. And that's in Proverbs 6:32. You know what I'm talking about? And then I wanted to show like a romance, and then here you have in the 42 Negative Confessions, Egyptian Book of the Dead, or the book Coming Forth by Day. Hail Tutu, who comes forth from Ati. I have not debauched the wife of any man. And then Hail Uamenti, who coming forth from the kept chamber, or kept. I have not debauched the wives of other men. You know what I'm talking about? Because some people just serial when it come to that one. So you had to put that one in too. They just don't want one. They want all. So, okay. Now I gotta put my glasses on again. Okay. So here we have, if a man sets face to put away a concubine who has borne him children, or a wife who has presented him with children, he shall return to that woman her dowry, and shall give to her income of the field, garden, and goods, and she shall bring up her children from the time that her children are grown up. From whatever is given to her children, they shall give to her a portion corresponding to that of a son, and the man of her choice may marry her. You see, it's not too late for you see, and this is not too late for some people. That's probably what they hold that for. But yeah, like, this don't apply to everybody. Just those that was put away. If you weren't put away, you was out in the open. Visual, what I'm talking about. But yeah, man. And so, and here we have again, if a man put away his wife, who had not borne him children, he shall give her money to the amount of her marriage settlement, and he shall make good to her the dowry which she brought from her father's house, and then he may put her away. Basically, it means, put away means basically divorce. For those that don't know, now, if there were no marriage settlement, he shall give to her 1 manner of silver for a divorce. If he be a free man, he shall give her 1/3 manner of silver. So those 3. Now here in 41, you have, excuse me, if the wife of a man who is living in his house set her face to go out and play the part of a fool, neglect her house, belittle her husband, they should call her to account. If her husband says, I have not put her away, he shall let her go. On her departure, nothing shall be given to her, but for her divorce. If her husband say, I have not put her away, her husband may take another woman. The first woman shall dwell in the house of her husband as a maidservant. So you just been demoted. You ain't the wife no more. You just a maidservant. Like you can't lose your status. But think about it, solves the problem, right? Where, probably in the West, this person would get spousal support and things of that nature. But here, you get nothing but the divorce. And if and if it's the other one, you get demoted as a maid servant. Oh, you ain't going nowhere. You just, you just gonna get demoted in status. So yeah, Mike. Now here in Matthew 5:31-32, it has been said anyone who divorces his wife must give her a certificate of divorce. But I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife, except for sexual and immorality, makes her the victim of adultery, and anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. So as you can see, it keeps on coming. Now in 48 we have, if a man takes a wife and she becomes afflicted with a disease, and he set his face to take another, he may. His wife who is afflicted with disease, he shall not put away. She shall remain in the house which he has built, and he shall maintain her as long as she lives. So in sickness and in health. But yeah, if she has a disease, whatever, you don't let her go. She stays in the house, and you maintain her. You know what I'm saying? You still cover her, even if she's going through that, which takes strength. being with somebody in that state, but you may take another, but that person doesn't leave the house. You still have to maintain and keep her. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Okay. Let's go.
As men and women, as sisters and brothers,
Back at
this love also is rooted in community and is necessary for community functioning. Love, romantic love, or whatever love, is not a selfish
you just be bringing him out.
Undertaking. And it should not be perceived as something just between you and your partner. It moves beyond that. It's going to influence more people than just you and your partner. It's going to influence the community itself. And consequently, then, the community has a right to concern itself with the so-called nature of love. Love, along with the related concepts such as oneness, and we see people wanting to get a sense of oneness when they're in love, unity, uniting, being together, identity, identifying, becoming one with the person you love. It becomes interesting. We talk about love in terms of blood relations. And yet the person you marry is really not your blood relation in actuality. But yet somehow that love, if it's right, becomes as strong or sometimes even stronger than blood relations, you see. So because love tends, as we see it in this culture, to unite and bring about identity between two or more people that goes beyond their biological relatedness, that often is stronger than their biological relatedness. Love, along with commitment, caring and sharing, belonging, relatedness, commonalities, having things in common, is that which creates a community. Is that which supports a community and maintains a community. So then the thing that keeps a community together is, of course, the nature of love that inheres in its families and between its families. And ultimately, the nature of love that is put out toward the community itself and toward one's people. And all of this influences the nature of romantic love. When you want to destroy a community, when you want to destroy a people, as we will talk a bit about later on, you destroy the nature of their romantic love, destroy their ability to love one another in a healthy sort of way. And we will see. When you see and you think about the problems we have as people and as individuals in loving each other romantically, you must recognize in good part that problem and those problems have been set up by a political social system. Because we shall see that love, the love that we have for one another, is the greatest threat to the people who rule over us. And it is necessary for those people who rule over us and who rule over African people the world over, if those people are to stay in power, they must destroy our ability to love each other in a healthy sort of way. This is why, even if you're concerned with your individual love for your boyfriend or your husband, you cannot separate that love from what is going on in the world, politically and socially. Because the nature of that love is defined by political, social circumstances. And if you can't understand why you have problems in your love relations, perhaps a good part of it is because you have not taken time to understand the nature of the political, social situation in which you live. Because you have been made to think that your love is merely the concern of you and your partner and not rooted in what is going on in the world.
Oh. Peace out there, Hava. Okay. So yeah, man. I wanted to cap it off with that. You know what I'm talking about? So this is gonna be sort of like, because we going through a strengthening, and so um during the month of December, I'll be going on a hiatus. So we'll return, but with the new podcast, we have a challenge. You know what I'm talking about. So um with that, I will that everybody's doing good on their challenges. Me personally, I give thanks for Chief for breaking it up like he did, because I'm able to fulfill that part of the challenge. It was like, oh, this is easy, because it doesn't tire you out. You know what I'm talking about? You'd be like, oh yeah, I can do this. you know. But if you ask me now, I'm like, I can't breathe. But I think, like, Chief, I'm a cross country walking my dang on self, because my brother's like, I don't want to run no more. I can walk anywhere. I thoroughly enjoy it. You know what I'm talking about? So I will. Everybody is doing making good on those challenges, man, because it's getting fun. We gonna see the results at the end of the month. So at the end of the Gregorian, and we will return, after the Gregorian year is up. So give thanks everybody, and thanks for the support. This round we will return to basically get more into it. It's like just what we, got the motor right now. Now we on hype. It's like, dang. But yeah, man, we gonna get back to it, man. But give thanks everybody, and I will see you start a Gregorian, man. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, work on those challenges, man, because and have fun with it. Because I'm having fun with it. I do my whole little thing, get the music playing. I can get psych myself up. Yeah, we taking a break from the month. We on break. That's why I said we on break. We taking a break from the month. What are you talking about? But we ain't taking a break off them challenges now. that we ain't taking a break, bro. Make sure you do your squats. You know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I would say make it. Win these challenges. Just make it creative as you can, and have fun with it, man. I think that's what's starting to be interesting as I start to create things to make this more fun for me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we are on break. We break it. We on break. We get out of school early. We get out of prison early. Got out of prison for the whole month. But we on break. I just said what you said, Sister Yabe. I didn't change up. We's on break. You know what I'm talking about. That's going down. So give thanks everyone. You got your 30 squats, your 100 squats and your 30 push-ups early this not man. I broke it up to where I did 20, 30, when it came for me, so I broke it up during the dawn and make sure I capped it all before basically basically before sun went down. What I'm talking about. I wanted to do that, but I made sure I did something before I go to bed, and then capped it off before sun went down, just because I wanted to do it as something to do, but like, hey, sun going down, let's knock him out, what I'm saying, knock this out, what I'm talking about. So but that's what I liked about it. I was being creative, what I'm talking about. So yeah, man. So give thanks, and I will see y'all, start the Gregorian year, what I'm talking about. But until then, we's on break, what I'm saying. So, but give thanks. You know what I'm talking about? You did post that's 25. Uh-huh. And doing the rest period. Oh, nice. That's how you break it up, right, Chia. You know, that's how you break it up. But yeah, so give thanks everybody, and I will see y'all. You know, start the Gregorian year. So peace. You know what I'm talking about?